Man, it's a windy and sunny day. It's pretty awesome out here, you know, just the two of us sitting here out in front of this big pond with all these fish.
Dang, just the two of us.
You know, we can really make it if we try.
I think so. I've always thought that.
You know, just me and my co-host Tellis.
Yeah, that's right. That's me.
And I look both to my left and to my right, and I'm not here anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of... That's the breaks in this business, actually. You know, if you get a guest for your podcast, you run the risk of just being, like, temporally replaced.
I can't believe I'm that replaceable. What happened? Is this Let's Talk About Sonic, the podcast about the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog?
Maybe. But this time, it's not. Well, not really. Like a little.
Yeah, just a little bit.
We're talking about that other guy. You know, he's not really blue. He's kind of big. He's
like a little indigo-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's a little slower than Sonic. He likes to jump.
He does jump.
He likes to take things at his own pace.
Yeah.
He does like to show up in the places you don't expect him to.
Yeah, unlike Sonic, who when he doesn't show up, we're not supposed to criticize him.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
I'm Crepe.
I'm Mitt.
And yeah, I'm Tellis.
Now, Tellis, we've known you for forever now. It's been like a million years. We've known you since the internet dinosaur age. From old forums past, and also Skype, which we don't talk about anymore.
Yeah,
Skype.
before the meteor of social media at large wiped out the planet, quote unquote.
Yeah, the social meteor.
The social media. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if you're a wonderful listener to this show, you're probably wondering, who is this guy? So I don't, unlike the previous guests they had, our friend Vert, I don't work with Sonic. I don't do anything of the sort. But I do like Sonic, largely due to these two. Their love of these games,
good influence.
Yeah, their love for these games is incredibly infectious. And I think you probably all know that too. But most of my history is really funny and kind of jumbled. I haven't played a lot of like the main series stuff. I have played. It took me a long time to ever play like Sonic 2 all the way through, or even if I even have. But anyway, so like I played like Gems, and I feel like a lot of people our age like played Gems and Mega Collection like growing up.
Yeah,
the first game I ever.
That's how I got into it.
Yeah. And the first game I ever played was like Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. It was like my cousin's. But so it took a while for me to ever get around to Sonic Adventure all the way through. Like I played like a demo, but then it's like whatever. So but that's what we're going to be talking about today, right? We're going to be talking about a certain someone. This is going to be a big episode.
Oh, and this is a big one too. This is a weird... I think this happens sometimes when we get invested in our bits, but dang, this is a weird tone to have. I like Big the cat. He's fun.
I mean,
yeah,
fun might be stretching it, but I don't dislike him. I appreciate his presence. I welcome him in open arms, like very open arms.
Yeah.
He has the capacity for fun that's not capitalized on enough.
Yeah, it's very lowercase.
Yeah. Like the band, lowercase with a period.
Yeah.
That thing? Anyway.
What was the song that they did? They had a song that was really big in like 2012, I think, or later. It doesn't matter, but I know of these things only because I've watched reviews of pop music. Why am I like this?
But yeah, man, I'm gonna flinch anytime we say the word big, like we think it's a joke, and it's like it's not actually the bit, but like I'm gonna keep doing that anyway. But yeah, Big is a cool character, but also kind of not, and that's kind of the charm.
Right.
I have my own. I think everyone kind of has their own special relationship to Big the Cat. A lot of people who aren't necessarily Sonic fans probably have an overtly negative one because he's kind of a meme.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what we're gonna dig into today. There's also a lot of people who are big diehard fans. Just like you can find anybody who's a fan of any Sonic character. That's not that crazy. Everyone has their fans.
Yeah, there are people out there who are just way into Heavy and Bomb from Chaotix.
Yeah. We have Gemerald fans. He was in a game.
He was in a game.
He was in a game and a half.
Good chunk of comics.
And
true. Okay.
The anime. He got
That's true.
He got
That counts
farther
for a
than
lot.
most. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I still
Bad
think that like the
example.
comics had a big hand in that, because even though his place in Sonic Advance 3 is very cool and interesting, especially with the good ending, he gets so much more material from appearing in Archie very late in it, and now in the IDW comics. I think that's a good chunk of it for people. Much like a lot of people who are into specific characters, the comics kind of do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing with this whole episode. Even though, like, I'm sure we would have done an episode talking about Big at some point, the reason we're doing it now is because, like, 2 months ago, I had a very specific conversation with Tellis in text that, like, stuck with me. We were talking about Big's voice and how it's stereotypical for kind of comic relief, dumb, fat characters to have a deep and dopey voice. And it's true. And Tellis is very much on that side of the conversation, while I was more like, I think it works for Big sometimes. And I realized after doing more research after that conversation that I'm mostly thinking of Adventure 1 and, like, nowhere else. And it's mostly because of the context in which Big is talking and what he's talking about in Adventure 1, because everywhere after, he sounds much worse.
Yeah. Like,
I've always appreciated how simple Big is in Sonic Adventure. Simple is, like, a really key word for him, because it's not like he's simplified. It's that he is the kind of person who has very few needs that he doesn't meet in his day-to-day life. So when something big happens to him, like his best friend running off out of nowhere, he's like, oh no, this is what my day is about today.
yeah.
So it, like, works.
Yeah. Will it bring me to a giant airship in the sky? Somehow? Maybe.
I have
Maybe.
two weird comparisons. I'm going to say the earlier one I came up with first. Is Big like the Sonic R character? Like, is how people feel about Sonic R the way they feel about Big, where it's like a weird quasi-irony, but, like, there's still a lot of un-irony in it because Sonic R is still kind of cool, even though it's the kind of, half-baked racing game. So, like, despite its flaws, it really shines through in a funny and cool way. But then also, Big is kind of like Mr. Bean, where he just does whatever he wants.
I think both those are real. Yeah. There's an element to Big's comic relief, again, at least in the first adventure game, that's very straightforward and situational, more than, like, him being a strange character saying goofy things to other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of Big's baggage is really dictated by how people feel about his gameplay in specifically Sonic Adventure 1. Because, like, in Heroes, he doesn't really have unique gameplay. Like, he's just a power type character and they all pretty much played the same. Like, there's minor differences, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
But
he for sure has the goofiest animations out of all of them, but, like, same functions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, in Adventure, because his fishing gameplay comes so out of nowhere, it's like, why is this here? Why did they put this in a Sonic game? But, like, it only lasts like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's really not that hard to figure out what you're doing, like, if you have a resource that tells you what to do.
Exactly. That's an important point, though, is that largely, I would say that I think a lot of animosity towards his gameplay comes from the fact that nobody else in that game works that way.
Yeah.
Like, you can figure everything else out by doing. Sonic is run. Tails is run and you beat Sonic. Amy is run away from the thing and do some puzzles. Knuckles is find some things.
Yeah.
And those are all verbs that, like, are... Oh, and also Gamma is there. You shoot things. But, like, Big is the only one whose verb is go fish. And it's like... And that is a verb that you cannot do with a single button and a joystick.
The other thing...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, is it you look at Big's controls, and you have... So everyone else, it's like, you jump and fly and interact with stuff with the A button. With Big, you have a button to reel, you have a button to reel in faster, and you have your control stick to aim stuff around, and you have a control stick then to press down to pull up your fish, which is the thing that catches a lot of people off guard, because that's a weird button to press. A lot of people, if you look at a lot of LPs, people get stuck on that.
Yeah,
Constantly.
It's not the same thing by any metric, but it does remind me a little bit of the Carnival Night Barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that I realized with you describing all the characters' gameplay that way is that Big is the only one who doesn't involve traversal, and he does move through levels sometimes, like in Ice Cap, but his default is not traversal compared to, like you said, Sonic get from one end to the other, Gamma also get from one end to the other, Tails also get from one end to the other, Amy also get from one end to the other. Knuckles still has to move around a large map to complete his objective, even if it's non-linear.
Mm-hmm.
Big is just, here's a playground.
Not even that.
Sit down, though.
Here's one spot where you need to go, and if you don't go there, you're not doing what you have to be doing.
Yeah. There's a few that are a bit more explorative, but, like...
Yeah, I think about, like, Hot Shelter. It's nice the Hot Shelter, you go from, like, one room to another. Sometimes you change the water level in that room multiple times. That's kind of cool. It's not like they did nothing with the premise.
Yeah.
I don't want to stress that much. It's just that everyone says nobody wanted this. And they're kind of right. You know? It's not the sort of thing a lot of people say nobody wanted this for usually, which is like, I'd like to dismiss this whole thing and push it away because it's not what I wanted. It genuinely is like, the only reason they wanted Big in Sonic Adventure is because Sega at the time was really trying to push their thing of being good at developing fishing games.
Yeah.
And
which is very funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'm not actually even sure if Sonic Adventure is compatible with the fishing reel controller that they have for the Dreamcast. It might be. I don't know.
Did it exist at the time? Yeah.
I don't...
That's a thing to look into.
Yeah, it depends on if Sega Bass Fishing was a launch title. It honestly might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could have done that research beforehand, but it's also, like, not that relevant. The important thing is that Big is just strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit down in one spot and do effectively nothing for like half a minute while I wait for my hook to catch on something.
Yeah. And like the other thing too is that, well, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've never done that actually, but like, I've never really gone metal hunting in that game. So, I've only just played through the game straight, and it's the only one that really has like an alternative thing that doesn't match up with the main bit to get the medals for him, or like get a good not medals, get good ranks.
The emblems.
Because, the emblems. There we go. Not medals. Emblems. So like getting a good rank with Big involves like all this. It involves an entirely extra different set of things than just find Froggy.
Yeah.
You have to find a big fish and then get good at catching the big fish, and then that's your score, and then you catch Froggy to end the level, and like Froggy is essentially the goal ring of everyone else's stage, or whatever it is on every other stage.
Yeah.
Because there's actually a lot of different ways to end levels in Sonic Adventure.
Which is cute, but it does... But trading Froggy as like the end of level ring also highlights that unlike every other character, you have to do very little to beat the level in his levels.
Yeah. So they kind of had to find a way to like shunt you towards an optional objective instead of it just being like, do your main objective but gooder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because The other missions in Sonic Adventure 1 are usually kind of different. I don't remember Big's offhand, but I figure... Well, okay, some of them are different because you're catching different things, which require you to explore differently. So I figure that's kind of the draw, is that you're going around the level to find where you have to go to find this thing, which is usually not where Froggy is. But Big's gameplay overall is like, it's the Fort Condor of Sonic Adventure, where it's like, if they ever remade Sonic Adventure, they should straight up just make it a minigame that's like completely optional. It's just off to the side. It's just not. It's not a campaign that really needs to be reinstated in full, just because of how different and inconsequential it is to the story. But you still, pay it. You give it that respect by giving you that minigame, where that way you cut out the part that doesn't really matter, which is like moving around. You find Big like around in the different hub worlds, and he'll be at like a fishing spot, and at that spot you just fish with him and you find Froggy, and that's it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
This kind of maybe had a realization, because every time I've talked about like a Sonic Adventure remake or remaster or anything that could involve changing the overall game structure, people have always mentioned taking Big out as a campaign, and I'm like, that makes sense. It feels like it throws off a balance to me, and I wouldn't want to cut out Amy and Gamma to make it like a trio game to focus on the best parts of Adventure. I feel like we would lose out on so much of what Adventure 1 is. But it did kind of make me think, it is strange that, maybe not strange, but it would have been more interesting and cemented to call better if she had been like the 6th campaign.
Yeah.
This is really tangential for an episode about Big, but if you did cut Big out of Adventure and replace him with something else, it would be very cool if you played the other 5 campaigns first, and then you got to play Tikal in a flashback sequence that clears everything up from what she's showing all the characters in their campaigns, and then you have the final story.
Yeah.
Even if it was like something really short, like 1 level, 2 levels, it would be interesting and worthwhile.
Yeah. Which honestly, actually though, now that you say that though, speaking of the final story, what is Big's role in the final story? He found a rock, like everyone else did. Yeah,
he just shows up with this rock.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything.
He is literally like that, like the scene in Return of the King, where Frodo sees Legolas, and Legolas has said one word to him in the entire trilogy, and he's just like, and Sonic is Frodo in this situation. He's just like, who are you? I don't know who you are.
It's messed up, because like, Sonic does say exactly 1 line to Big.
Yeah.
So it tracks. I think. I mean, I guess in theory you could say all the little character interactions that are optional in the hub worlds are canon if you wanted to, but I still don't see them talking to each other in those moments.
It's very like, isn't the single line just like, you gotta get off the ship?
No, it's
or something else.
Is that your friend? After Froggy jumps into chaos, it says, "Don't worry, I'll get him back for you." Something like that.
One of those temporal anomalies where you get replaced. Well, actually, no. Those 2 fights happen separately. It just happens that Chaos reforms both times, I think. Right? That's how that's the canonical interpretation of that.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Both happened, or they were both fighting Chaos.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the canonical interpretation is, because there's plenty to be unsure about from that front, since the whole game is very Rashomon.
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure, because you don't even see Big and Froggy in Sonic's version of that boss fight.
Well, okay. What happens is Big doesn't do anything to Chaos whatsoever. Big fishes Froggy out, leaves, and then Sonic deals with Chaos.
That's fair, actually.
And then Sonic's recollection, he doesn't even remember Big being there.
Yeah, like, guess he got away and he's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the inner tube, guess he jumped.
Yeah. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. He's a
He also
platformer character.
took
He's
the
fine.
tornado.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, how did get
Big takes the broken tornado.
Oh my god.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Wow. So
They don't elaborate on how anyway. It just cuts. You
so
know, and
Sonic
then-
just gets completely shafted on the egg carrier. Like everyone's gone. The egg carrier is crashing. His tornado got stolen by some guy he said he would help. His friend who can fly is not there. Both of his friends who can fly are not there.
I mean, yes, that's the second scene in the game where the next thing that happens is Sonic falls about 500 feet and lands fine.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, Big doesn't have any impact in
Yeah.
adventure. The only characters he runs into are Tails and Sonic. Tails is the only one who remembers
and then
running
the rest
into
of the
him.
cast. Yeah.
I don't even... The only other interaction is that Gamma's looking for Froggy.
Yeah.
And then Gamma gets that taken care of and goes on to have a much more character-defining thing.
Yes.
So... Okay, so that's the plot summary of Big in Adventure 1. Here's the thing that I was saying before, though, is that he's still kind of fun in Adventure 1,
Sure.
because even though all he's talking about is, I gotta save my Pollywog pal, Froggy, it's charming because he's not over the top about it. He's just really concerned.
Yeah, totally. And like I said before, it's still the verb of his gameplay, at least.
Yeah. Then you get into Heroes,
Yeah.
and even when Amy and Cream are talking about literally anything else, Big only almost exclusively just talks about Froggy.
Yep. Like
Something
they're
I didn't-
commenting. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's something I didn't know about until I was doing research for this, is that all of the characters in every level have dialogue that they say when you idle. Every level, all of the characters. And in most of them, for Big, it's just, where could Froggy be?
Yep. And I think that's always been kind of the dynamic. That's kind of the dynamic of Team Rose, right? Is that like Rose is there, Amy's there to be like, hey, you two need help, and I'm cool, and I want to find Sonic, and we're gonna be all best pals and go find them, and like that's kind of like the glue that holds them together. And it's like, that's great, but it also continues to paint Big as almost completely helpless.
Yeah.
Because you're putting him in the same box as Cream, who's
6.
6. Yeah, I was gonna say 5 because it's funny because she's 6, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know why 5 is funnier than 6. Whatever. Anyway, but like that's the thing, is that like if you had Big on Team Rose be like, I don't know, he's a huge guy. If he was more like a Totoro kind of a thing, maybe not like as animalistic as Totoro, but like he has the same vibe as Totoro of like going wherever and doing whatever and just being kind of charming. And if he was just like if Froggy was not a thing, like Froggy was like part of his animations, or like Froggy was just hanging out like as part of like the group, that'd probably make him a better character in Heroes, because he would have to find other stuff to talk about.
Yeah. It
Or
would
he could
genuinely be
talk to-
more engaging and charming if he was just there just to be there, and he like had just passing observations about everything, but was not actually invested in anything they're doing.
Or, you know what'd be funny is if he was just totally aloof and was
Yeah.
talking to Froggy the entire time.
Oh my god. That would also be cute.
Hey, Froggy, what do you think about these wheels? I wonder if we can use our team-up attack for those.
Like, or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. So like, it's one of those things where it's like he becomes a one-note character because of that, and it's like, just let him not be Frog, or just not let him talk about anything other than finding Froggy, because that's the only thing he's been shown to do.
Yeah.
And if we want to, do we want to talk about Sonic Heroes at all, or should we hop on to his other appearance?
I was gonna mention on the subject of how big is treated in Heroes that, like, to be just a little bit fair to him, almost everyone in Heroes is very simplified. Kind of the exceptions are like Vector, honestly Omega, which is really funny. And I guess Rouge, actually, too, because it's not like she spends the whole game talking about Jules. She's just the leader. But that's, like, kind of it. Yeah. Everyone else is very straightforward, and in some cases, boiled down like you boil salt water to get, or you boil seawater to get salt.
Yeah.
I think about the entirety of Team Rose, to be honest. At least Cream is a nice little polite girl, but she does continually bring up Chocola. And Amy at every confrontation is like, I'm gonna marry Sonic. Wait, you're not Sonic. I don't care about you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain level of Big is not any different than anyone else there. But it does hurt him a little bit because it's one of his 3 big appearances.
Yes, absolutely.
That was not a pun. Anyway.
It's gonna be a pun every time. We just have to accept it.
Okay, yeah, fair. So yeah, because like, what else does Big have? Because we've got because up until that point, up until Heroes, he was just cameoing. He was just making cameos in Sonic Adventure 2, right?
Yeah.
Which are honestly, I would say that element of him is probably my favorite part about Big, is that his appearances, both in the original and battle versions of Sonic Adventure 2, make him a complete enigma. I know this is like a hard right in terms of different direction, but like, I love that part of him because it is what I relate to personally, because I have a personal anecdote on this.
Oh.
Back in the day when I first played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, I rented it. And I wanted to show... I wish I could remember which cutscene it was specifically. I think it's the one before you fight Egg Golem in the pyramid. And you... there's the scene where it's supposed to like have... There's like a little trap door that opens... And I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Eggman there, or somebody's supposed to be there. And if you randomly roll the dice and get the big version of the cutscene, he's just there instead, just chilling. And this happened when I had a friend over, and I was like, check out this cool cutscene, let's watch this one. And I would just like go to the cutscene viewer, pull up that specific cutscene, and that happens, and I'm like, what? Huh? What?
He's not normally there.
Yeah, and then I got weirded out, and I like, after it happened, I like closed out of the thing, and I was like, can I see that again? So I closed it again, and then because the RNG didn't happen, it didn't happen again. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do about that. And it wasn't until years later until I realized that was like a thing in those games, because it's right in, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Battle doesn't have the environmental big appearances. It only has the cutscene ones. It like replaces them, right?
I think that might be true. I know that like some stuff got removed from there for Big in general, just because like I know he was he used to be in place of the Dark Chow in multiplayer.
Yeah, I think the environmental level ones are not there.
Yeah, because he's like not on the side of the road when the gun truck is chasing you. Yeah. And he's not on the random like it's satellite, one of the space levels, stuff like that.
Right.
But anytime you view a cutscene in the game, I assume after you see it for the first time, because I imagine it'd be hilarious if they programmed it otherwise. He's just there in the background. Whatever. But anytime you view it afterwards, he just has a random chance of replacing random elements, and you just play the big version of the cutscene. And so that's cool. I like the strange enigma showing up for no reason element. I like Big being the Franck of
Right.
of Sonic. I think that's kind of the zone that he should exist in general, unless they're really going to give him the time of day. I think that's the right wavelength Big should exist on, and people can fight me on that. I won't. I'm not going to fight you on that, but people can fight me on that.
That's a reasonable perspective, because before you segued into that, you were about to mention like what else does Big have, and the reality is he has nothing.
Yes.
They can give him more, but once we start talking about that, we go into the realm of speculation and or fan fiction or fanon, and at that point, like, yeah, we could talk about other angles they could explore for Big, but the problem is he only has one, maybe two angles, so anything we talk about is completely just adding on. It's not extrapolating from, and one, that makes the speculation less interesting. Two, that makes our conclusions less interesting, because what are the chances that Sonic Team is ever going to agree with any of it?
Yeah.
What did they actually see in the character? I don't know.
Right.
To some degree, that enigma quality that can appear, that sort of I can be anywhere and you'll just spot me randomly quality, is part of what they like about Big, clearly, because they revisited it for all of their 2020 and 2021 Sonic channel art. So that's something that at least the people at Sonic Channel like about the character, and it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
I don't know where they go with it from a playable standpoint. I don't think there is anywhere they can go with it from a playable standpoint.
Yeah. And you can kind of see them maybe try to do that if we look at his appearance in Team Sonic Racing, which is his third playable appearance. As far as I can tell, right?
Wait.
Are we missing one? Fourth?
You're forgetting. He is a playable party member in Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, in which he is the tank.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even think about looking into Chronicles. I forgot about it.
Here's
the deal. Okay, I want to outline this right now, actually, because I just remembered other stuff. The real chronology for Big in terms of appearances is Adventure, Shuffle, non-playable in Adventure 2, Heroes, Chronicles, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and then Team Sonic Racing.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I think could you also count, I think he was in one of the Olympic Games.
I think so, but like I can't remember.
Yeah.
Has he?
Olympic Winter Games.
Okay.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, so he's in there also. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Oh wait. Hold on. I'm gonna check this real quick. Also in Colors. I don't know.
Colors DS. Okay.
In Colors DS. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's that. There's a missing link there. We're missing a little bit of.
Yeah.
But, okay.
You gotta fill us in. I don't know jack about Chronicles.
I was right that he's the tank. It says on Sonic News Network he has medium damage output and the highest armor in the game. And I do remember that. I do remember Big getting me through some of the obnoxious mid to late game alien fights. But I can't remember how he's characterized. Says here, traveling by Tails' tornado plane to avoid the soldiers guarding the ruins, they meet up with Big the Cat, who helps them locate the base, where they find Knuckles escaping from some robots, which I think is, if memory serves, I think you first meet Knuckles when he's being confronted by, I think they're called the Nocturne?
Yeah, they're the Nocturne.
Marauders? Yeah, the Nocturnus. Okay. And it says that he lives in the Mystic Ruins, so I can't remember offhand if you actually go to the Mystic Ruins in Sonic Chronicles. But like, he's not looking for Froggy in this game.
No, something in the back of my mind tells me he was treated more smartly in Chronicles. It's not like the writing is that game's biggest failing, to be honest. But
yeah,
I don't remember exactly how it's handled.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an interesting piece of the puzzle there, but maybe that's for another day in general.
Yeah.
The day when we confront the beast that is Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
That's scary.
We could keep that as a footnote.
That's scary because we're going to have to familiarize ourselves on the game again, and that probably means playing it, and I don't want to do that.
You want to sit down and watch Thanks Ken Pender's playthrough of it?
I don't want to engage with this game again.
I'll put that down as a maybe. So those are the games Big's in. And outside of maybe whatever the BioWare devs chose to give him in Chronicles, he only has two things about him. He's slow, and unfortunately sometimes that means the annoying ableist version of the word slow.
Yeah.
And he has a best friend.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to touch on, which is that, to circle back to a point I was making, is that you see a little bit of what in this case, because I don't know what he does in Chronicles. The only other look I think we really see into what he is without having Froggy as like the thing that pushes him to like act on anything or talk about anything is in Team Sonic Racing, because a lot of his team dialogue is him being absolutely confused as to why he is there.
Yeah.
He has a whole lot of when everyone else is really taunting and mean, when they like almost uncharacteristically so in that game, when you like hit people with items, he's like, "Oh no, did I hurt you?" and like overly apologetic and like doesn't understand that it's like a competitive thing, it seems like. And he's more just like, I can drive a car, I guess, and is just part of as a part of a team, just there. And he has a whole lot of other dialogue that's just sort of like just sort of oblivious in general. So I think that's kind of, I guess, the tone they take if they don't have any sort of driving force to look at. But that's driving force. Anyway.
Driving force. This kind of circles back to what you were saying, comparing Big's treatment in Heroes to Cream.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have in my notes for both Heroes and Team Sonic Racing that he's kind of depicted childishly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's much worse in Heroes. In Team Sonic Racing, he at least comes off like friendly and silly and confused, like you mentioned. But in Heroes, he's much more, like, he has a really simplistic view of the world, and he has no idea what's going on. He can tell that things are happening, but he's very, like,
tunnel visioned on one thing.
Yeah, it's so hard to describe. He has exactly one moment where he talks about anything other than Froggy for real, and that's, I think it's at the tail end of the Team Rose versus Team Chaotix cutscene, where he just, like, out of nowhere is like, "Are you hurting my friends? I won't let you hurt my friends." And it's very, like, instead of coming off like, power of friendship, I love the people around me and I want to help them, make sure that they're safe, it's more like, I'm 6 and you just threw a rock at my buddy on the playground and I'm going to go punch you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, is Big the Cat 18 volt? But bad?
But bad. Yeah, I was about to say,
worse.
this is
bad.
Yeah, this is bad because, like, he does not have the specific appeal that 18 volt has, but it does feel like they try to write him in a way that's similar to that in execution, and that feels strange.
Yeah.
To me.
Because
the joke... big thing...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. The joke with 18 volt is literally just, oh, he's a really big kid. But, like
he's actually a child, just large.
Yeah. And with Big, you know he's not actually a child. So I guess it's the opposite.
His age somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess.
It would be like if 18 volt was literally 18 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing for me, and this is what really gets me, I didn't note this down, but it just occurred to me. The word I'm looking for is infantilizing.
Yeah.
And it, especially because of the voice and because of the way he is written in Heroes specifically, and sometimes in Team Sonic Racing with the confusion and not understanding the rules, but like engaging with the game anyway, feels very like neurodivergent. And those two things in combination are, oops,
Yep.
we have an autistic character in Sonic and we just decided that he's stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Great.
Now, I'm not saying that's the intent, but by golly, does it read that way super easily.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's frustrating.
Yep. That arguably ties into what I mean when I say that the treatment of his character is a certain level of mimetic, which is that when we consider when these games came out, and we consider the discussion both in and out of the fandom about these games, it was like getting into a fever pitch. You kind of probably run into a certain word thrown around to describe that character, and that's not a great word.
No.
Yeah, so that's kind of the elephant in the room when it comes to Big the Cat as a character, because there's a lot of people who have really, really bad faith takes about the character, and let's not engage with them.
No.
But it does bring up a good question of like, what kind of signals you send by writing the character in this direction, and I don't think we're fully equipped to dig into that as a topic, but like it's something that's worth touching on.
It's something that's worth touching on. It really bothers me about Big because I'll sing his praises like whenever, because his design is great. His design is absolutely fantastic for a Sonic character. I wanted to get to this at some point. It's really rare that you get characters in the Sonic franchise who aren't robots or humans who break the traditional body shape mold for the characters. And it's nice that Big, despite having nothing to do visually with the other characters, maybe not nothing, but very little, feels appropriate to the world regardless.
Yeah.
I've always really liked that about him. Compared to like Blaze the Cat, who doesn't have the same cat-like features on her head as Big. She looks way more like a quote-unquote Sonic character. And she's still good. I love her design.
Yeah.
But it is funny to have Big, who has the cat eyes, has large, splayed-out ears, while Blaze is more petite in her head, not even talking about her body shape.
Yeah. And like, who do we have outside of that? Like, we got like Storm and
Vector.
Yeah,
Vector, Bark.
Yeah, Bark counts. Bark is more on the end of like what they're doing with Knuckles for the second Sonic movie.
Yeah, true. But I mean, you know, there's a lot to be what's the word I'm looking for? There's details to be filled in on Bark, just with the lack of polygons.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, it is a really cool thing that like Big has a cool design. I think his face is fun. I think it's good to have a big purple guy. I think that's a good character. But yeah, on the flip side though, something we should talk about actually for a little bit more is his voice. We should circle back on that. That Big, like, and I'm not gonna deride anybody for liking his voice, because that's dumb. But like, Big the Cat's voice, I'll just get right to it, is the kind of voice that I associate with somebody about to make a really bad offensive joke about a certain kind of person. Anybody on the autism spectrum, I guess you should just say. Because, like, that is just the kind of, the stereotypical, like, voice for that. And it's like, oh, that sucks. And it can be read that way very easily, I think.
Yeah, we kind of talked about why.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's definitely been strewn into, like, not the community, but like the greater mimetic aspect of Big, where it's
Exactly.
like, I'm going to dog on Big because his fishing gameplay is stupid, and also because he's like this, and he was also
and it's like
introduced at like the perfect time for that to be a thing.
the perfect storm of edgy humor.
Yeah.
And it's like, that part's not great. But it's also interesting because, like, I'm trying to, like, I was racking my brain for a while to think about, like, other characters that have a similar kind of voice and why they don't strike me the same way. I think, like, a good character comparison would be, like Patrick in SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Who runs into the same kinds of problems, but due to the fact that he has so many more moments of being well-rounded as a character, he just comes off not anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
I think.
His voice
He comes
definitely...
off like an eccentric guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His voice also isn't anywhere near as exaggerated as Big's.
Yeah. It's not as slow. He has a lot of range in his delivery and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, I figure most people at this point know about the whole thing with John St. John, and the fact that, you know, when he was in the recording booth and was rattling off different voices to do for the character, he did that voice as a joke, right? That's kind of the oral tradition there, right?
Yeah.
Of he did the voice, and they were like, "Yeah, that one," and he's like, "Oh no," right? So, you can kind of think like it's probably not what John St. John wanted. It's probably not what most people's choices would be, but it's what the voice directors wanted, so that's what's there. And there might be baggage there that the people making the decision probably just weren't aware of, which is like, we're not going to hold that against anybody, but like, it's there.
Yeah.
We're kind of stuck with it.
I have to wonder, like, what other kinds of voices would make sense for Big.
Yeah.
I haven't really put much thought into it. I could see him having just a softer voice in general. I think he still needs a deep one, but it doesn't have to be forced.
Yeah. Doesn't have the quite same way of talking, but actually this is a good segue for something else I wanted to talk about. But so if you don't know, back in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Shuffle, Big was voiced by Shun Yashiro, who, if you don't know, is the Japanese dub voice for Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
Mm.
And I think that's a good comparison point.
Yeah.
Of a go-with-the-flow, simple character who has not a lot of things, like, has friends that they care about, but doesn't have a whole lot of, like, things that they really worry about. And they, like, you know, that's kind of the bit. And obviously, Winnie the Pooh's like a higher register, and Big is down there as like a low register as their voices go. But I think the kind of delivery there, where it's like an actual respectful kind of a thing, like it comes off as more respectful. You can still have a soft voice. You can still have like a delivery that is like, oh my, yeah, like without being like, ooh, I feel like I feel like a my brain is, or like it feels like my voice is the vocal equivalent of a puddle of slime on the ground or drooping out of the floor.
Yeah, I think Big shouldn't be quite that like lilting.
Exactly,
or like listful, but yeah. I do like the comparison to Winnie the Pooh in general, though, because the thing that I think about with Winnie the Pooh is he has really mundane concerns and problems.
Yeah.
Whenever he has issues, it's like, I'm out of this thing that I want. Yeah. I would like to see this person today, but they're not available.
Mm-hmm. And like, that's arguably like a kind of charming thing about Big as a character. The way that it's framed in Sonic Adventure is kind of abrasive, but it is fun to have a character that is just like, I have a very mundane thing happening to me and I want it to be solved, and literally everyone, and it's like, I literally want to find my friend, that's all I'm trying to do, and everyone else is worrying about the world ending. And like, that juxtaposition can be fun, can be a good thing. If it's done like overly silly as like a comic relief thing, it kind of comes off the wrong way. But I think it can be very much like a good, like entertaining, like fun. Like, it's kind of a fun dichotomy to bounce off of.
Yeah,
but,
if it's played straight, it's funnier, I think.
Yeah.
I have a note here, and I really like the phrasing on it. Big adds a needed element of non-excitement to Sonic's world. I feel really strongly about this, because I really like the imagery of having a focus point character who is doing things at a much slower pace while everyone else around them like passes them by constantly. Mm-hmm. And if we just had Big's a great character for like Sonic X, for example. If you just have like a whole TV show episode that's completely from his perspective, it's like, oh, actually a fun comparison point is the Challenge Space 2 animation that came out a long while ago.
Yeah.
The pacing that has, where it's a lot of like footage of the Chow doing silly stuff, about to get hurt. Sonic is rushing to make sure nothing happens constantly the whole time. That sort of angle where like Big's just living his life in Mystic Ruins. Maybe he goes out to fish. Maybe he goes into town because he needs to get something that he can't get from fishing. Yeah. And as he's having his day, Sonic is running back and forth. Tails is flying all over the place. They bump into each other a couple of times by accident. Knuckles walks by holding a big pile of emerald chunks. Doesn't say anything. Like, that's where the humor is, I think. But that juxtaposition is never focused on in a way that's satisfying.
Yeah. I think, actually, to circle back to the, I keep saying circle back. Circle back to the Sonic Adventure.
To spin dash back to...
spin dash back to... to cast my line back to a certain thing that Mitt was talking about before, is that the role of Big in a remake situation, honestly, unlocking levels of like a big mini game by just interacting with him in certain parts of the story and other people's parts of the campaign would be fun. I think that'd be fun. That'd be a fun way to do it. Especially like, this is another like idea I had on top of that though, is like, it'd be kind of fun if like his dialogue revolved around like things that change due to your actions in the level. Like if he was like, oh, the fishing hole up an ice cap opened up because of the avalanche? Let me go check it out. Or, what? That orca in Emerald Coast, it scared away all the fish and put them somewhere else? Now I can finally find the big one. Like, that'd be kind of fun. Or something like that. I think that'd be fun. But that's just me spitballing.
No, I like it because it does... I just want Big to have a more cemented place in the world and like have it be acknowledged. Because he has one, but it's so easy to like sidestep it, sweep it under the rug. It's just like over there. No one else has to do anything with it or deal with it. Yeah. It's kind of nice to have him always in the background, sometimes in the way that we were talking about earlier in Sonic Adventure 2, but sometimes in the way you're just describing now hypothetically, of him being there and you being able to talk with him and him having his own thing going on.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a great NPC.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is kind of the thing, isn't it? Yeah, he'd be a good NPC. He'd be a good bonus character. He's a good guy to just like have around. And I think the only reason anyone ever comes to like runs into a problem with him is that it's mandatory.
Yeah.
And that just rubs everyone the wrong way. It's just like, no, I'm not even gonna say it. Just the overall, everyone knows the phrase that everyone throws around of just like, It's like, oh, Sonic's supposed to be this, and Big's not that, so get it out of there. And it's like, well, you're not thinking very open-mindedly, so shove off. But,
I struggle to think of, like, anything else in the Sonic franchise that people talk about that way, even.
yeah.
Like the Werehog, maybe?
The Werehog.
Like the beat-em-up gameplay of the Werehog specifically, not even the tone of the Werehog.
Yeah.
Or just the stuff that happens in the storybook games.
Yeah.
Those are like humans in Sonic, but that's only reactionary types in response to 06 specifically.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying that about Adventure 1 or Adventure 2.
You know those people on Twitter with their hot takes about Tails' adventure? That's the real problem with the Sonic series. What a
Are you being facetious right now? Because
yes.
Okay.
Do you see people that?
No, I just wanted to make sure I hadn't, but
Okay.
like maybe you had.
The Tails
don't
Sky
know.
Patrol hatred fandom has to stop right now.
There are people out there on
Yeah.
Twitter right now typing angrily about how Tails Adventure should have been a Mickey Mouse game. Or sorry, not Tails Adventure, Tails Sky Patrol.
I will not
They're
stand for
still
this
talking
witch
about
cart slander.
Witch cart erasure.
We were gonna have Witch Cart in our Sonic fighting fan game.
We were. And you know what? We're smart.
We're smart.
We're smart. Not I say that like I was part of that decision. One thing I actually wanted to talk about is that if we figure we hit a thought dead end there, voice actors for Big. One, I don't think anyone has any proper suggestions because we're kind of having a hard time even just tracking down in our head like what's a character that Big could sound like that we're like cool with. Because honestly, it's like there's not a lot of characters that kind of are like him, like at least that hit every characteristic on his list, right?
Yeah. I'm also just not very voice actor minded. I don't like I know some industry names and a handful of others that I can like keep track of, but I'm also like when I consume a piece of media, I don't really think too much about the work that goes into making the characters speak.
Yeah.
I'm just not that kind of person. It's cool that other people are, but I've struggled with that before. This is super anecdotal, but there was a time when a friend of mine who's on the dev team for SRB2 Kart, when they were adding Mighty to the extra characters, the bonus characters file, reached out to me as the biggest Mighty fan that they knew to be like, hey, do you have any idea what Mighty should sound like? And I was like, I'll get back to you, and then didn't. And then at some point, someone on the team or someone else they reached out to gave them the voice direction to pull, what was it? Tien voice clips, I think it was, from Dragon Ball Z, from Dragon Ball Z's dub. And I guess I'm putting this out here. That's kind of funny, but I was never like that satisfied with that decision because he sounds so aggressive.
Mighty is kind of a chill armadillo.
That's what I would hope, but like, I don't know, not everyone sees it that way, and that's because he's not a character with much depicted depth. He's not like he has that many appearances anyway.
Yeah.
I've always liked that he was a more calm, earthly character in the Archie comics in its latter run, but that's okay. Not everyone feels that way. Some people grew up with Sonic the comic where he was kind of bullheaded. That's fine.
Yeah. What was he like? What are his animations like in Chaotix? Because I'm actually super unfamiliar.
They're just Sonics.
They're just Sonic. Oh, okay, that's right.
It's just Sonic 1 Sonics. The only like notable unique animation he has in Chaotix is his idle animation where he stops, faces the camera like Sonic does when he's tapping his foot, but instead of tapping his foot, he twirls his ring on his finger back and forth.
Okay.
And that's kind of the only character he really gets in Chaotix, and of course, anyone who knows about the development history of Chaotix knows that Sonic had that animation in Sonic Crackers anyway, so
yeah.
it's still his.
Yeah. And then what? You have the flex arm shake from Mania for his victory animation, right?
Yeah, which is like semi-inspired by his character select animation in Sega Sonic, but also not.
Yeah.
It's what they did for both Mighty and Ray's victory animations in Mania Plus.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Mighty does have voice clips in LTASonic, and I think the voice direction he had in that game is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
He sounds kind of irritated instead of scared or excited. I feel like, okay, this is way tangential, but like if you're going to boil down the voice direction for the three main characters in LTASonic, Sonic is scared, Ray is excited, and Mighty is irritated. That's what their voices sound like whenever anything happens.
Yeah.
So Mighty has kind of like a deeper voice. He's more gruff in that game, but it's not gravelly. It's just kind of deep. So it's fine. But I don't know. I don't know what I want him to sound like.
Yeah.
I feel that with Big also.
Exactly. So what I was going to say, though, is that you might have a thought in your head, and it's like, well, what have Big's voice actors done instead? To find a good comparison point, right? This is where I think it gets really funny. So we already mentioned that Shun Yashiro voiced Winnie the Pooh. What else has he done? Not a whole lot. He is around he voiced, like, Kaa the snake from Jungle Book. He voiced that too. And a handful of other various other, like, old, old cartoons.
Question,
so there's not much...
Is he in a lifetime role as Winnie the Pooh? Does he still voice Winnie the Pooh to this day?
Well, he passed away in 2003, so...
Okay, never mind.
Was Winnie the Pooh up until then, though, basically. So there's that, but there's not much else other than that in his voice credits. So you go down the list, though, and like that's I think that's the closest you can get to Big out of all the rest of them, because let's go down the rest of them. You had John St. John, and for John St. John, we know John St. John. He's Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem's a big muscle man.
Yeah.
A very stupid muscle man, but he's a big muscle man. And what has he voiced beyond that? I don't know. He voiced a couple random people in Half-Life. He voiced Dan Zyver, if you remember Evil Zone.
Oh yeah, that's right. He wasn't even the only voice actor in that game to have commonality with Sonic voice actors.
True, and that's a whole other can of worms. And I think nowadays he voices like a couple other huge dudes in Dota 2. So it's like it's not the same kind of thing. Like they're all like yeah kind of characters. They're not like, oh hey, I'm gonna hang out on the weekend and fish, right? So John St. John is largely big rippling muscle man. And then you have Big in his voice credits. Then you have what? Kyle Hebert, all right?
Yeah.
Voices
current
Ryu.
voice, right?
Right? What?
His current voice.
Yeah.
At least before we know if there's any further changes in the voice cast right now.
Yeah, right. And so what? He's the voice of Ryu. He's the voice of a lot of stuff. But like the stuff he's most famous for is largely, again, big strong guys. He voices Dribble in WarioWare Gold. He voices Gohan in a handful of Dragon Ball dubs. He voices Kamina in Gurren Lagann. He voices the Ox King.
Yeah, it's starting to sound like there's not much commonality with the role of Big the Cat and anything else these voice actors have been asked to do in the past.
Yeah. I think Ox King is arguably the closest you get.
Yeah.
And even still, like, Ox King is more about muscle than, like, Big is.
Yeah.
Also, Kyle Hebert is also out there as being, like, he's the voice of Miles Edgeworth, and he's also the voice of Professor Oak in a handful of dubs. So it's like, he can also voice a bunch of smart guys. Like, that's, like, the kind of typecast he gets put into. He's smart guys or he's punchy guys. And then, what? Okay, so let's look at his, Japanese voice actors. Oh, actually, no, we got Oliver Wyman.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oliver Wyman's, that one's hard to pin down. There's not really any good comparison points there. But he's there. But largely, again, not really anybody I'd say is a good place to pin Big, because like it's all oh, I know, he sounds like Glalie from Pokemon. That's right. That's who we should voice. Who should voice Big. That's the commonality. No. But yeah, so there's not much meat to go there on there. But yeah. So let's just move on from him. I think there is yeah, so we go to his his Japanese voice actor currently is and has been since 2003 for Sonic X. You have Takashi Nagasako, who I think most notably voices Ganondorf and has voiced
right.
Yeah. Who is not Big.
No, again, often a muscle man.
Yeah. So is there something that Sonic Team knows that we don't about Big?
Well, I do like that Big was recontextualized as a power character in Heroes.
True.
He is strong. He was strong from the beginning. He lifted a whole car to get into the sewers in Adventure 1.
That is true.
But I don't think that he's strong in the way Ryu is strong.
Or
Ganondorf is strong. This is a strange one.
Or Donkey Kong.
Or Duke Nukem. No, he's strong in the way real people are strong, where he actually has a lot of weight behind him, and he presumably has a little bit of technique, I guess, from needing to lift stuff. He does come off a little bit like a guy who has done like untrained labor, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the biggest analog I can think. I don't know. Part of his being a power type in Heroes is definitely like silly, funny, because he fights with his fishing pole. He chucks his friends at enemies by pitching them with his fishing pole. He has a ball. He has a spike ball at the end of his fishing rod, which he swings his whole fishing pole around. Get a big circle of fire. It's definitely a goof. Unlike Omega, and honestly, even unlike Knuckles, who, yes, punches with his buddies, but it's kind of cool, sort of.
Cool, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's silly. The whole dynamic around Team Rose is lighthearted and silly, despite the fact that they're doing something kind of serious and looking for people who are in serious danger.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not. Yeah, maybe Sonic Team does know something we don't.
Yeah.
I was thinking a little bit while you were talking about voice actors, and I had exactly one thing come to mind. In 2019, pulling out a date for this for some reason, I watched Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, and I watched the dub of it. And the voice actor for the, funnily enough, deuteragonist Umataro Nozaki, Tai Mahani or Mahaney, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The way that he voiced Nozaki was really grounded and soft, but he did have the range to go big sometimes for some of the dumb gags that show has. By the way, that show's like semi-worth watching. It doesn't end great.
Yeah.
In case you want some anime recommendations from your Sonic podcast.
And you should.
Sure, yeah. Go and watch Yu Yu Hakusho, but skip the episode that has the transphobic joke.
True.
Don't worry, there's a watch list out there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind out of things that, not the first thing, it took me a while to get there, but it did come to my mind out of like things that I've seen. Anyone could go look up like a clip from the dub of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun and get a vibe for how Nozuki is voiced, and that's kind of a touchstone for me, I think.
Okay, I'll have to check that out then.
That's all I've got, though. Got nothing else.
Yeah.
stuff that this guy has voiced otherwise. Character in the recent Chunsoft game that came out, World's End Club. I don't know if Food Wars is notable. It's an anime
People
noted
like it.
by Food Wars. The second place, the third place. The second plate, the third plate, the fourth plate plays Gin Dojima in that. Anything else here like notable to me? Plays a character on Haikyuu, Tetsuro Kuro. I don't know anything about Haikyuu, but I know people like it a lot.
True.
Played a Gatchaman Crowd's Insight character once. Yeah, just a voice actor.
Yeah, for
who's
anime.
out there for anime. Yeah, I don't think there's any game credits on this behind the voice actors page.
There is not.
There is
myself.
not.
Log
Apparently
Horizon's
did
about a video game.
additional voices on Kase-san and Morning Glories. I know people love some Kase-san. all you lesbians out there, you better go check out Tai Mahei's voice in the Kase-san dub.
Yeah. I wish I had a good answer for like what his voice should be like.
I know.
Cause like, oh, you know what? I was gonna say that before. There is for Takashi Nagasako. So he is also the voice of Ganryu from Tekken, who is arguably maybe the only character I would say is anywhere close to being the kind of thing that Big is going for, because he's a sumo wrestler. And all of his dumb goofs are entirely just him being kind of a hapless moron. Now, granted, those are all romantically focused rather than trying to find a frog, but the comparisons are there.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I wish I could remember what E. Honda's dub voice sounds like.
oh yeah, huh?
I have no clue, but I don't think it's very low.
It's medium, and it's very like
Okay, yeah. See, I don't want like the growly sound. That's not Big for sure. Despite being a cat.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Let's pose that to the listeners. If you have like a voice in your head that you think would be better for Big the Cat, especially if you're like a voice actor, or like especially if you have like specific like examples, please throw them at us, because that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I would be interested to hear.
Yeah. So that's my call. That's my call to action. Let us know what Big the Cat sounds like to you.
Yeah, thank you, because I wasn't going to put a call to action out. I think this episode's better now that you did.
But yeah, I'd love to see those though. Because I am at a loss, honestly. And before we stop talking about Takashi Nagasako, there's a certain person that I'm sure would appreciate me mentioning that he's also the voice of Captain Commando. And Captain Commando rules.
Really?
Capcom add Captain Commando to more things. Thank you.
Capcom add Captain Commando to more things.
Sega
Capcom,
add
please
Captain
reach out to
Commando
Sega.
Sonic.
Yeah. Sega or Capcom, please reach out to each other to do a proper crossover that isn't Project Cross Zone. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Project Cross Zone is not a proper crossover, but what I mean is, please God, put Mega Man and Sonic in something that isn't just the Archie comics, even though that was good.
Yes.
Please?
Please.
Please, I'm begging you.
They're both blue.
Throw Captain Commando in there.
But
Captain Commando's
all
also
blue.
blue.
But they had that advertisement together when they were promoting the Wily Wars.
Everyone go out and order the Sonic and Garfield pack today.
I mean, Mega Man's not in that one.
Mega Man's not in that one. You can pretend he is, though. Every time you see Garfield, just mentally replace him with Mega Man.
Yeah, just give him a hat and color him blue.
Everyone go out and buy the Super Mario and Heathcliff pack today.
I had that.
You did?
Well, yeah.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke.
No, okay, so way back in the day, some cereals would have little Deke cartoon discs with like an episode or two from two different shows packed on them, and one of them was Super Mario Brothers 3 and Heathcliff, and the Super Mario Brothers 3 episode was the Giant Land Prince one. And that's the one with the good, truthful, honest giant ninja Mario.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I had to close my eyes to remember that because I knew I could.
I think you made out pretty big with that one.
Yeah, I don't remember if like Sonic had an episode, considering he had like 2 Deke cartoons. I don't remember if either.
I think all 3 of them were Deke.
I'm not sure because the quality was so different, and I also don't know how long Deke lasted. But I know Adventures is absolutely Deke, because also the distribution is weird, because Adventures get lumps into everything else, and then Underground also, but Sad AM is a little bit hard to parse.
I'm pretty sure at minimum that Adventures and Sad AM were Deke, but Underground might not have been.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Just distribution might be, like you mentioned, just strange, but like double strange for it in terms of who has the rights, but who made it.
Yeah.
So I have one closing sentiment for Big.
Okay.
Cinnamon.
I have one cinnamon toast for Big. He will enjoy it. I made a smaller one for Froggy. And I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but there are these nice, enjoyable Sonic 1, sometimes Sonic 2, very rarely Sonic 3 ROM hacks by a Sonic Retro user, E122Psy, that add different playable characters to those games without changing the games at all. And they're pretty fun. There's one of them that he did for Sonic 2, that's Sonic 2 Pink Edition. It replaces Sonic with Amy, it replaces Tails with Cream, and they have their proper gameplay and everything. In the most recent version of that ROM hack, which he put out, it was either earlier this year or last year. I think it was last year, because I think he submitted it to the Sonic Hacking Contest for 2020. It had Big as a hidden playable character. And it is, to my knowledge, the only time I've ever seen anyone actually flesh out the idea of what Big could play like in a 2D Sonic game. And it's interesting. He, like Cream and Amy, has an attack button. Amy has her hammer, Cream has cheese, and Big has his fishing rod. He tosses a lure, it flies out in front of him in an arc, and he can pull it back at any time. It's kind of neat from an attack standpoint, especially if you do it in the air. And he can charge up a run, just like Amy in Advance 1 and Advance 3. And he can roll in tubes, because if he couldn't, the game would not be playable. But he does have a larger rolling sprite, and he also doesn't roll when he jumps. And he is slower than the other characters, but not by a significant amount that it doesn't feel fun.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting character and mechanical exploration, I think, and I recommend people look into it and try it out. Sega is luckily very lax about the ROM hacking scene, and you won't have to like go out and download a ROM of the game and patch anything. The entirety of the Sonic hacking community is just like, here you go, here's a patched ROM. It's a new game, effectively. I've changed it to a substantial degree, and Sonic Team is not coming down on my front door, so here's just the game. And you can just download it, get an emulator, and try it. Really easy setup. I recommend doing this because there's a lot of interesting ROM hacks out there. But go and check out Sonic 2 Pink Edition and see how you feel about this one interpretation of Big gameplay in 2D. It might make you feel differently about the character, or it might not. It's just worth checking out. That's what I got.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Big's got the same problem that everyone else has, where they're not characterized well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, have you ever really, it feels late in the episode to bring this up, but have we ever really talked about the phrase all of Sonic's little friends on the show yet?
Probably.
It might have come up. Yeah, I don't know, because we haven't like gotten around to talking that much about the greater perception of Sonic, because we wanted to sit in our own little bubble and get our opinions out.
That's fair. I understand completely.
But it's out there, and that is a big thing about Big the Cat specifically and how people treat him, because he got lumped into that stuff not just early, but retroactively, because the biggest pushback to that was after Adventure 2, was after Heroes, and then especially after 06.
Yes.
And once it got more ramped up after 06, people were retroactively more pissed about... We said pissed before, is it fine?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. We're more pissed about Adventure 1 and its inclusion of Gamma and Big, and to a lesser degree, Amy.
Yeah.
And then I got piled onto Sonic Adventure 2, and et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. So Big is really the poster child for, quote-unquote, Sonic has too many friends.
Yeah. Because...
And that sucks.
Yeah. Because at least Amy has a slight pedigree of the cast of Sonic Adventure. Big is the big standout, like, huh? Why are you here? But like,
because let's run down really quick, just a refresher for everybody involved right before the episode ends. Basically, Sonic is the main attraction of Sonic Adventure. The most happens in his story in terms of plot advancement, even though very little happens that requires him as a character to be doing it.
Yeah.
Tails is there. He goes through almost the same stuff, but he has a different ending that actually gives him a little bit of character arc resolution. Knuckles is doing his own thing, but it's interesting because it ties into the setup for the whole plot. He gets much more of a focus on why Chaos is here and trying to directly fix the issues that Chaos caused by being summoned. That's all cool. That's the main plot of Sonic Adventure. Amy, secondary to that, because she doesn't really interact with the main plot, but she is at least antagonized by something that Dr. Eggman set out on her. Yeah. Because the little flicky that she's protecting has a Chaos Emerald. Okay. Yeah. Gamma, entrenched in the B plot in general, in Sonic Adventure, and has the most agency of the three secondary characters in terms of advancing the plot. So he's kind of the Sonic of that end to some degree.
Absolutely, yeah. He's the like B-side Sonic. He's the Shadow the Hedgehog of Sonic Adventure 1.
He's the Shadow the Hedgehog of Sonic Adventure 1. And he also gets the most character resolution, so he gets that nice little bit that Tails has too. He just overall has the most interesting plot, period.
Exactly. Then, he's just a whole package.
Yep. And then Big's just there.
Big is there. He finds a frog, he finds a rock.
He finds a frog, he finds a rock. His frog is there to be an objective for Gamma, so if you play Gamma's story first, you don't get anything new from playing Big's.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. But you still gotta play it if you want to see Supersonic. So,
yeah,
there's that.
And Tikal shows everyone, Gamma and Big included, flashbacks to the Echidna tribe in the Mystic Ruins and their operation to give people a sense of what used to be, and shed light on what, to some degree, happened to Chaos to make him angry. And Big does nothing with this information, because what would he do?
What would he do? Yeah.
And Gamma does nothing with this information, because what would he do?
Exactly.
And I could see an angle for Gamma doing something with it, but he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Amy gets something out of it. Knuckles gets a lot out of it, if you choose to acknowledge the fact that he should get a lot out of it, even though he doesn't. Yeah. Tails gets something out of it. Sonic gets something out of it. I want to like Adventure Story so much more than it like is worth liking.
Yeah. There's a lot you can like about it, and it's just that it just falls apart if you look at it to build it too closely. That's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. We as a collective do not berate Big for what he is, but simply lament what Big could be, I think is the takeaway.
Yeah.
Is that there is, at his core, something likable. There is something cool about him, even if it is just, he's a weird enigma. And I think it probably depends. It's very subjective what you like about Big. I know there's people who very much like what he exists as in Adventure 1. And there's people like me who think it's really funny that he shows up in the most bizarre of places, and it's just sort of like that's his bit. So I think there's a little bit of both you can work with, but regardless of what you see there is something at its core that you could probably take and refine and turn into something that's really, really cool. Not necessarily cool, but like likable and good, and like all around, just like everyone accepted as like, hell yeah, that's great. Part of it wrapped up, part of the things that are held against him, kind of his voice, definitely his gameplay. As much as it's cool if you like it, it is a weird stepping stone. It is a weird rocky stepping stone that is uneven and doesn't play like the rest of the verbs in the game.
Yeah, I have to wonder if even fishing game enthusiasts like Big in Sonic Adventure.
True. I mean, if you like fishing games, why would you pick up Sonic Adventure? You can go pick up, Sega Bass Fishing. So
yeah, but especially again, if it was a launch title, I swear I'm going to find out post recording.
Yeah, we should check.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah. So like that's kind of the little pearl and the inside of the Chaos Emerald inside of Froggy of Big the Cat. Yeah, that's a shoddy metaphor, but that's the one I'm going with.
Sega Bass Fishing was almost a launch title in Japan, but it was a launch title in both Europe and North America.
Well, okay then.
So
Big the Cat guest character for the next Sega Bass Fishing.
They could do that, and it would be fun. Like they could just do that. Yeah, I was going to mention. You said not lamenting what Big is, but I will vocally lament that they had him say stuff like, "That's a no-no, Doctor," and "That was a big birdie" in Sonic Heroes during the Dr. Eggman fights.
We can in fact actually be mad about that. Okay, sure.
Sonic Heroes was the turning point for the Flanderization of the Sonic cast.
Oh yeah.
That's a topic to bring in at the end of the episode.
Well,
think about Knuckles and Sonic 06.
Yeah, we'll save it for when we talk about Sonic Heroes.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a good place to put a wrap on this anyway.
Yeah.
Time
to reel ourselves in.
Yeah. I'm pretty surprised. Like, there were a couple points during this session where it felt like, oh, we're gonna kind of wrap this up around like the 50-minute mark, and we did keep going, and that was good, and it was fine. It's always nice to get a pleasant surprise when we're able to talk for something the length that we want to.
Yeah.
I'm Crepe. I've been Crepe this whole time. You can find me on Twitter at CrappyBlue.
I'm Mitt. I've also always been Mitt, like the whole time, like the whole podcast. You can find me on Twitter at MitsumiMario.
Hey, I'm Tellis. You can fish me out of your local Twitter fishing hole at @the_Tellis if you want to see my funny little opinions and maybe thoughts in general. Can't promise they're all going to be about Big the Cat. So that's kind of the show, ain't it?
Yeah, we'll fish you up some other time.
Maybe in the next zone.